Hello, everybody. Welcome to the OAFP Facebook page or YouTube, wherever you're watching this. We have an exciting conversation coming up with our OAFP Family Medicine Educator of the Year. But first, just want to have some OAFP related announcements. Since we were not able to have an in-person type meeting, I just want to share with you, in case you didn't know, our virtual meeting, which we're having. You can register, you can look more information at ohioafp.org. Our annual meeting is scheduled for August 9th at 7 p.m. And it's just our usual business type of things. So, you can see me be installed as OAFP president. How exciting is that? But we'll have some other business type of things as well. There'll be some virtual exhibitors. And another thing I wanted to let you know about is the OAFP Foundation, is having what's called a virtual family medicine party. And that will be on Friday, August 7th at 7 p.m. That kind of goes with the theme of our virtual meeting. And we'll be having fun programming for that as well. You can still, register for that, get your quilt tickets for the OAFP Foundation. You can get merchandise from the OAFP Foundation. You can get all of that at the website. There's going to be fun shirts. There's a mask. They have the doctor's orders type of mask that we're supporting. There are T-shirts for our virtual annual meeting. There's some fun stuff over there. But all that information, you just only have to remember one link, ohioafp.org. You can get all that information. So now, a very exciting conversation coming up. I'm going to just introduce our guest and then bring her on. So we're going to be having a great conversation with the Ohio Academy of Family Physicians Family Medicine Educator of the Year, Dr. Kate Conway from Dayton, Ohio. Now, in case you didn't know, the OAFP annually presents the Educator of the Year award to a family medicine educator who exhibits extraordinary, beyond the call of duty merit, encourages students to pursue the ideals of family medicine and participates in research. Dr. Conway has been an assistant professor at Rice State University Boonshoff School of Medicine, Department of Family Medicine since 2014, and her department's director of medical education and clinical clerkship since 2015. In her various roles, she serves as a mentor to medical students and residents throughout her family medicine journey. Dr. Conway also serves as the Director of Global Health. I'll be excited to hear more about that. In this role, she provides didactic instruction for students and residents and expands their exposure to refugee healthcare and the founding of a medical clinic serving refugees at Fiver Rivers Health Center in Dayton, Ohio. Dr. Conway received her Doctor of Medicine from Rice State University and completed residency training at University Hospitals Medical Center in Cleveland. She stays in Cleveland and received her Master's of Medical Science and Public Health from Case Western Reserve and completed her academic fellowship in academic medicine at Northeastern Ohio Medical University in Rootstown. So now I'd like to bring on Dr. Conway to have a great conversation, congratulate her on the award. So Dr. Conway, as you come on, congratulations on the award. It's great to talk to you kind of in this virtual format.
Thank you. It's so fun to be here.
So as we kind of get started, I tell people, always kind of, remember where you came from. So share with our audience here who may not know you, where you've come from and how you kind of found your way to family medicine as a specialty.
Yeah. So I actually was born in Dayton, but, we were here for a little bit because my dad was a news reporter for Channel 2, the local news. And quickly got a job up in Cleveland at News Center 8, which brought us up to Cleveland for most of my childhood. And seeing my dad as a news reporter, that's what I thought I wanted to be when I grew up. And I just thought all dads were news reporters. So that was my first career goal. And then I started becoming obsessed with science and space, and I thought, how about I become an astronaut instead? And so really that was like my first love of science that got me excited. And I remember high school biology class was really where I was such a nerd, lover of biology. And specifically as we entered into human biology, just loved studying it, found it so fascinating, and never felt like it was a chore to study that material. So went to college thinking I was going to be just a bio major and find my way to some sort of cool science career. I did everything I could to avoid pre-med and medicine. I thought, no way do I want to work in a hospital. When I thought of a physician, that's what I thought about. And it wasn't until I got to do some time at the Cleveland Clinic as an intern, like an internship with the medical genetics department, actually seeing what physicians do and can do, that I started having some different thoughts and getting really excited about the way physicians got to be with people, support people, and have such high impact and influence in such needed times. So that's where I finally found myself going somewhere that I thought I'd never go, to medical school.
That's cool that that you had this kind of media exposure. Like I didn't know that about you. So like that's really interesting to me. So you one of the things in your head, you're like, oh, I want to be one of those kind of TV doctors.
Well, yeah, and then I actually my whole one of my extracurriculars as a kid, I spent from about the age of 8 to 21 in the theater. So I did community theater as a kid. All Beck Center, Lakewood Little Theater was my home away from home all of my kid life, and even did some in college too in our little black box theater. Lots of improv, lots of great stuff. And so it's interesting. I becoming into academic medicine, I joke with my students that they are now my audience, and being a teacher is my new stage. And so I try out new material, and definitely skills of improv, is highly useful when it comes to teaching. Wow. So yeah.
Do you remember like back, what one or two maybe of your favorite roles kind of in the past, I guess? Or, I'm putting you on the spot, I know. This is improv right
now. The one that strikes me was actually a college production of a show called Accommodations. And why it was probably one of my favorites was the character that I was a budding young actress in New York City. And so every time she came on stage, she was like practicing a role that she was auditioning for. So every time I came out on stage, I had to have a whole different costume, wig, and a new accent that I was practicing. And so it was just really super fun because I got to be so much and do so much all in one show.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. And you've kind of answered this already. So how do you kind of use your improv skills, now, especially in these times?
Yeah. Well, the virtual world for a thespian is still kind of weird. I definitely still prefer the live performances, the live classroom. So that's been an adjustment. When live, I think just feeding off the energy of the room and having a stage presence, a presence in front of your students or in front of an audience that you're presenting to, is really important. Thinking about those skills of knowing your script of what you want to say and how you want to say it, but then also being prepared to respond to questions as they come. And in that space, for me, the improv has been honestly a little bit more of like the vulnerability of being able to say, that's a great question. I'm not quite sure how to answer that today, or I don't know the answer, but that's a fantastic question and it should make us think a little bit more, so just being willing to be authentic and genuine and just be yourself, and be real with the people that you're with, has been an important skill.
Now, I know in our medical group, in our group of family docs, I'm in a group practice. one of our docs still had time and really felt passionate about community theater here in our small little town. Have you still had the opportunity to, still keep up with your skills as far as your theater skills?
No, that's one of my, like I make a sad face about that. It's like still a goal I have. Just with raising a young family, I have 3 kids myself, and just the time of putting all my effort into just the work of the day, and then the work of just being home and being with family has been kind of just the natural course of time spent right now. So we'll see. Hopefully in the future at some point, some way.
Yeah. That's what's great about family medicine. There's still time to fit that in. So for people who don't know, about your job, and obviously I'm not in education circles. I'm a full-time clinical. So describe a little bit about your job, what you do, how do you interact with learners and educators?
Yeah. So my kind of overall week is pretty balanced. I still do patient care in our Wright State physicians practice here. So I still have my own patient panel. And usually when I'm seeing patients, I am working directly with a 3rd-year student who is on their family medicine clerkship. And then otherwise, as clerkship director, I'm kind of in charge of the team of core faculty that work towards teaching the 3rd years during their core clerkship. As the medical director or as the director of medical education in the department, it also means that I really organize and look towards what the medical students' experience is every time they kind of enter our department and are seeking some specific experiences in their training, all the way from MS1 through MS4 years. So that can look different from kind of one-on-one mentoring with students to kind of thinking broadly about how to make sure all students have a great experience when they are interacting with family physicians in the community and with our department. I am extremely passionate about wooing people and recruiting great students to family medicine, and my students know in general that anytime they're going to talk to me, I'm going to talk about how great family medicine is.
That's great.
So that's a huge part of what I do as well. It's, part of it is also working directly with our community docs who are volunteer faculty out there in their private practices. And they welcome students into their practice for that one-on-one teaching and one-on-one training that is so critical. And making sure that they feel supported and that they, have the resources they need to be successful as a one-on-one teacher with our students.
And tell me about your role as a director of global health. What does that mean?
So when I was a medical student here at Wright State, we had a global health initiative just started by actually one of my student colleagues who was a year above me, and a couple of them actually. They were really passionate about making a more intentional process around global health education for students. It had always been at that time something that students could do, but they were kind of on their own to figure it out and to make it happen. And there wasn't some of that supportive education and training around the really important concepts of global health to really elevate the experience from just a medical mission or just a one-time deal to really learning how to be a global health physician that can approach problems and approach organizations and approach communities in a very mindful, ethical way. And also how to sustainably bring those lessons learned home. So we here at Boonshoft have this phrase, global is local. And so over the development of this program over the years, and then when I got to become director of it, it was really a great opportunity. And in this pandemic now, oh my gosh, to reinforce those ideals of taking care of communities, both abroad and here at home, and providing students a longitudinal curriculum to support their development and professional identity as a global health physician.
When you're talking to students, about global health and they don't really know anything about it and they don't really know the importance of, of global health or I guess public health in a more general type of thing. What do you share with students as far as why is global health important? Why is public health important?
Yeah. So to borrow a phrase from another great physician out there, I fully support the idea of being an upstreamist. So when I started my own training as a physician, I recognized right away that I loved one-on-one care with patients, and I really felt that that space was sacred, to be with a patient one-on-one. But then I also recognized that in some ways, some days, I felt like I was just putting Band-Aids on really, really big problems that were bigger than myself or what my patient could do. And so I really see public health connected to, the global context of our world right now as being such a great fit for physicians and especially family physicians to think about how we can all be part of and think through those upstream issues and advocate for those upstream issues to be looked at in bigger ways and to give our expertise on what those big problems look like for our individual patients. So that's how I think about it.
I just love hearing people talk about what they're really passionate about and stuff that I think is important, but people who do it every day are really passionate every day. I love hearing that. So when you heard about, winning this award and, and the announcement and all that stuff, and what's your reaction to that? Usually us as family docs, we don't really like talking about ourselves. But what was your reaction to that? And usually docs really love to kind of spotlight mentors they've had or the teams that you're working with now. And so what is the meaning to you for winning this award, Educator of the Year?
I mean, I was really just so honored, humbled, surprised. I mean, I just know how many talented, committed, dedicated people out there who are doing what I do every day too. And I feel very much so grateful and honored to be a part of that community of passionate educators out there. I was completely surprised when one of my students nominated me. I wasn't expecting it or didn't even know that that could be a possibility. I'm just kind of, like you said, I'm just kind of doing the work I love to do every day, regardless. So I think about, anytime, just like you said, anytime you're recognized, it makes you really look back and reflect and be grateful for the people that have supported you along the way and been part of your team, and been a part of what has allowed me to be doing what I'm doing right now. So, I started here at Wright State, so it's like kind of full circle, to come back and I work with people in my department that were my mentors and were my teachers of family medicine. And now being on the other side of things with them, continuing to feel so supported, continuing to see by their own work and the way that they model education is something that I can learn from and take and do in my daily work onwards too. So, Dr. Bruce Binder and Dr. John Donnelly, big shout outs to them as part of this space. I really see a connection between with physician education. I really see a connection between what we do with individual patient care and then what we do with individual students as well. There's that space of trying to engage the expert in the room. So, when working with patients, the patient's the expert in the room. When working with students, they're the expert in the room in terms of what they need, what they're looking for, what they're seeking, what they're trying for, what personal goals they're working towards. And so I'm always trying to put them kind of first, and me kind of being the facilitator, the passenger on the bus that we're driving together. And it's really, I really, really appreciate that aspect of being a true partner. And I've had so many mentors along the way that have shown what that really looks like and happily brought me on as their partner in that journey too.
Awesome. Awesome. But before we kind of close things up, I did want to ask you, about, med school during the pandemic. You don't have to get into all the details of preparations and things, but maybe just share with the audience as far as, what kind of things that are in some of these kind of staff meetings as far as, how to continue medical education, during a pandemic.
Yeah. Oof. It's been rough. But I feel really grateful, again, to be supported by the leaders of our school here. I mean, we have Dr. Gary Leroy, AAFP president.
I think I've heard of him.
Yeah.
I think I'm familiar with him.
As our Dean of Student Affairs and Admissions, and then Dr. Brenda Roman as our Dean of Medical Education. And she also has been really active nationally on just working on these big problems right from the start. So having their input on what's happening nationally and making sure that what we're doing is both responsive to that, but also proactive in that and contributing to thinking again about solutions to big problems has been a really neat opportunity to, again, work differently in the teams that we're used to working with. But ultimately what we've come to is reinforcing, realigning, re-advocating for the fact that medical students need to be taking care of patients alongside with us. We cannot train physicians from the computer virtually. So we have to protect their space and their education and their progress. We have to see them as essential workers, essential healthcare personnel alongside with us. And any kind of policies that our hospital systems are making need to consider them as part of the team that is coming to work every day and prepare to have supplies, PPE, training, updates, communication that includes our students and and obviously our residents as well as part of that team. So we're highly committed and highly driven to doing as much as we can to make that keep happening for our students.
So my guest on the line here has been, Dr. Kate Conway, the Family Medicine Educator of the Year for the Ohio Academy of Family Physicians. And before I let you go, just want to share any kind of closing thoughts on our conversation. As far as looking forward, to see, especially how family docs, family medicine can really, is playing a role in trying to get our patients and our communities, especially through this pandemic. Any kind of closing thoughts as we close our conversation?
Oh yeah, I've just been so amazed at how family docs have really stepped up in this such needed space for our patients and our community. To continue providing that access for patients. With literally pivoting overnight to telemedicine when needed, to providing safe in-person care as well, as much as is needed still. And being, again, the patient partner, educator, support that patients need to ride this wave of the pandemic. And we're used to kind of sinking in and saying, yep, this is going to be rough, for a lot of people. And so let us not forget our key role as being advocates, not only for our individual patients, but for our community members that we know are going to be suffering the most. And I think family docs are the ones who really, really know what that looks like and what that feels like and how that impacts our individual patients' health. So I really, with us being at the tables of important discussions, within your small communities and within our national communities, I think we have so much to offer, and I'm so glad to see that we are a part of the big conversation happening.
Oh, it was so great to meet you. I love how OAFP is just really kind of sharing these family doc stories, and I hope that we hear more of them. Congratulations again on your award, Family Medicine Educator of the Year for the Ohio Academy of Family Physicians. Continue your great work. Continue doing what you're doing. It's just been great to talk to you.
Thank you so much. It's been an honor. It's been great.
As we close things up here, again, to the audience, go to oafp.org. There's more information about the foundation, about the academy, about our virtual meetings coming up. So we wish everybody a great day. So have a great day, everybody.